What's up, YouTube? Okay, here's the deal, guys. I'm driving right now. I'm on my way to Gainesville, Florida for my first ever bicycle race. All right, so in Gainesville this weekend, it's February 1st now. In Gainesville this weekend on the 2nd and 3rd, there is this event called the Swamp Classic. Saturday, there's a road race, an individual time trial, and then Sunday, there's a criterium. I know a lot of times it's like, what do they call it, Omnium? It's like a multi-event competition where you have to do all three and you get points in each of them. This isn't that. No, this is just totally separate events. There's a road race, an individual time trial, a criterium. You can sign up for one, two, or all of them, doesn't matter. So I signed up for all three. So if you're not familiar with USA Cycling, what happens is you start out as a Cat 5. There's Cat 5, Cat 4, 3, 2, 1, and then Pro. So you start as Cat 5, no matter what, no matter how good you are, no matter how strong or weak or experienced. If it's your first race in USA Cycling event, you're Cat 5. And you're Cat 5 for your first 10 races. You have to finish 10 races, and then you're automatically promoted to Cat 4. And then from Cat 4, you have to actually place well to earn points to upgrade your category from there. So this is my first ever race, and I'm Cat 5. And the race I'm going to is only Cat 5. A lot of events, and the ones I'm going to in the next few months, have Cat 4, 5 combined races because they just don't get enough entries to have a Cat 4 specific race and a Cat 5 specific race. So this one I think might be actually my only Cat 5 specific race, which means everyone in the race, it's one of their first 10 races. So that's what we're doing, and this video specifically is going to be about the road race. I'll have a separate video going over the criterium. You know, I've got expectations all over the place. I've gone back and forth. When I first signed up for it, I was like, man, I'm pretty good fitness. I'm probably kind of overpowered for Cat 5. You know, I might be pretty competitive in Cat 5. Now I'm not so sure that's the case. Yeah, I think I might have been a little naive because there's no races around me. I've gone on club rides, but they're very casual club rides, like no drop club rides. I've never even done like a competitive group ride or anything of that nature. So I really don't know what kind of talent or power I'm going to go up against in Cat 5. And you know, like I said, everyone starts in Cat 5. Someone could be twice as strong as me and they've just never done a USA Cycling race before and they're Cat 5. Or someone could have just started biking and decided to sign up for a bike race and they're Cat 5. So strategy-wise, I've got to keep that in mind. Like, I think usually once you get into a higher category and you see, you know, a group break off the front, if it's a small group and it's the beginning of the race, you're like, oh, the main group will catch them, right? But in Cat 5, I'm not so sure that's the case. Like, you might have 2 or 3 guys in the race that are just way stronger than the rest of the group, and they break off the front and they're just doing their own thing, and the rest of the group is way back off somewhere else, and they don't have the same fitness, they don't know how to work together, they're all just think they need to be avoiding the wind and saving themselves, and they don't realize that the group needs to catch the breakaway. And I don't even really know what I'm talking about. I'm just repeating stuff I've heard in all these YouTube videos, right? So I think I want to stay near the front because I think in Cat 5 especially, you're at risk of getting stuck in a slow group if you start off in the back. That's my strategy going into this anyway, so we'll see how that works out. I don't know. And that's kind of why I'm making this video, is to just document my thoughts and goals and expectations, and then show you the race, and then talk about how it turned out. So my goals, all right, first primary goal, do my first race, okay? Because that's going to be a new accomplishment that I've never done before, and I'm super sure that I'm going to get that done this weekend, so that's nice. Not a lot of risk of not meeting that goal. So number 1 goal, do my first race. That's easy. Number 2 goal for this 39-mile road race, stay with the front group. Like I said, I really expect there to be a separation or maybe a group and then stragglers behind it. Make sure I stay with that front group. Make sure I don't get stuck in a group that falls off the back. Number 3, I mean, I can't sit here and say that I don't want to win this race. You know, I think the chances of me winning my first race are very low. Wow, that's a real bike gang. They got the patches and everything, man. Those guys are legit. Anyways, Win the race, yeah. So finish my first race, definitely doing that. Stay with the front group. I'm pretty confident I can do that, but we'll see. There might be some really strong guys that end up in my race. I don't know. On the list, it has what team you're with, and there's like 6 or 7 guys that have a team listed, which at least means that they've probably done more group riding than I have, maybe even some type of competitive group riding. There's even 2 guys I think with the same team listed, so they might have some team tactics going, or they might not. I don't. They're Cat 5 too, you know. It's their first 10 races too, so they're still going to be pretty green. Maybe not as green as me since I've never done a race. It's my first race, you know. It might be their 8th race or something. But I have a dream. I have a dream to win this race, sure. But I could also see it going where I get dropped off the back early, which is why I'm definitely recording the beginning of the race, because this group might just take off without me. And I might do the whole 39 miles by myself. And I still should do it all by myself, because all you have to do for those is finish those 10 races. You don't have to do a group finish or anything like that. You just have to finish them. So if I start and quit, it does not count as one of my 10, but if I do the whole 39 solo off the back, it counts as one of my 10 mass start races.
Okay, we have a quick stats about the race. Average heart rate 175, max 206. I think I actually set a new max during this race. Average speed 21.7. I think a lot of people could probably keep up with that. Here we go off the start. Alright, so you can see I actually got a pretty good positioning in the group at the start line, which is something I was really nervous about going into it. I was worried that, you know, everyone was going to be fighting to try to get a good start, and that really didn't happen. Everyone just kind of casually rolled up to the start line whenever we were supposed to. Here behind me you can see there's a gap, but people are closing it fast. So off the start, people just went kind of different speeds. Here you see someone going around me pretty fast, so I jump on his wheel. I'm looking up ahead and I see 2 guys way up the road, huge gaps forming. Now maybe this is normal, maybe it's not, I don't know. This is my first race, but it turns out all these gaps, they just work themselves out really quickly. Here I just keep sitting on this guy's wheel, and you see the whole group is just falling into place behind me, and the whole group globs back up really quick here. That gap was nothing to worry about. Now my heart rate's already 176. Right off the line, it jumped. I don't know if it was because I was going so hard, or if it was just the adrenaline of doing my first mass start, but my heart rate went up fast. 176 is, I mean, that's my threshold heart rate I'm at already. Actually, my threshold heart rate before this race was 174. So threshold being the average heart rate I can hold for an hour, or the highest average heart rate I have held for an hour recently. And I actually set a new threshold heart rate during this race of 177. You can see here we're going 24 miles an hour. The race ends up slowing down quite a bit. You saw the average speed was 21.7. So here we're keeping it fast. I'm in the front. This is exactly what I wanted to happen. I wanted it to be a fast group in the front, and I wanted to sort of separate from a lot of people in the race. That actually didn't ever happen. This race had 38 people entered in it, and all 38 of us started, well, okay, no, 37 of us finished together. It would have been all 38 of us finishing together, but one fellow ends up crashing right before the final sprint, and you'll see that when we get there. So everyone was really nervous about Cat 5. You know, when we started, the announcer said, Cat 5, safest race of all time, right? Everyone always thinks like, oh no, Cat 5 is going to crash because it's all these inexperienced riders. They can't hold their line as well. They might take risks that they have no business taking, and they just consider it to be a dangerous race because we don't know how to race yet, and we don't know how to ride this close and fast together while still being competitive. But we're figuring it out, and I was actually really proud of the group. We do have that one crash at the end, but what I was amazed by was that no one got added to the pile, and we were all sort of, I mean, it wasn't super tight when he crashed. Obviously, if it was, then there would have been a pile up. But a lot of people had to swerve to dodge him, and they did, and everyone else stayed upright even through that. So I was very excited about that. And right from the start, even right now, before I even walked up to the start line, one thing I did notice was that Cat 5 has a lot more experienced riders than I was expecting. Everyone made it sound like it was, you know, this terrible thing that you had to be so scared of, and they're super dangerous riders. No, everyone I saw in this race really wanted the race to go safely. They didn't want people taking risks. The only I heard the people talking to each other a couple times. They were just like, "Hey, be careful, ride safe," that sort of thing. That's what everyone wanted out of this race, was just for no one to crash. And there's actually, everyone here is riding really well. And one thing I noticed about that is just like bib shorts, bicycle shorts with the suspenders. Pretty much everyone had those. And for me, I've had my road bike for 6 years, and I just got my first pair of bibs a couple months ago. I never even heard of bibs before that. If someone had asked me if I had any bib shorts, I wouldn't have even known what they were talking about. That's how much I didn't know about cycling, even though I had a road bike for 6 years, and I was riding it, kind of frequently. Every week or two, I would go on a 30 or 40 mile ride. That was my training schedule before I really started getting into cycling a few months before this race. So this race is in February. I started ramping up my cycling really in September or October, and I just started doing a lot by myself, just cycling more and more and more, and just really enjoying it. And I found a 110-mile loop that I did every Saturday for 5 weeks in a row. And see right there, you see this guy was pointing at that hole for me, so I would be prepared for it, so it didn't shock me into crashing when I went over it. We're racing, but it's still a group. But then he almost kind of pushes me off the road there. I don't know what that was about. If he didn't realize I was still right there, or yeah. But anyways, I saw him coming over and I backed out. But I was kind of surprised that he just went over when I was right there on the edge of the road. So behind me, you see everyone's riding pretty close. We've got 2 rows going. Not too close though, just ride it however close you're comfortable. If you open too much of a gap, someone will cut in though. And one thing I did find difficult through this race was once you get out of the line, trying to get back in it. I don't know how you're supposed to do that, because no one ever lets you back in, which is frustrating when you just took a pole and the people that aren't letting you in, they aren't even pulling. So one thing I did notice during this race was, for the most part, everyone wanted to stay out of the wind. Here we are coming up at our first turn. You see everyone's calling out the turn for the group. Everyone's slowing down. Everyone's swinging out, getting a good angle on this turn. And here we go. And after a turn, it usually stretches out a bit. Here behind me, you see I'm creating a gap while I'm trying to catch up to the guys in front of me. And this guy here in the Robbins Bikes kit, that's Will. He does this race very well, so keep an eye on him. But here we go. We go onto these back roads. See, there's no yellow line. The pavement's a little rougher back here, and the camera ends up shaking quite a bit, so I apologize for that. The map you see there in the center, that's the course. That's a 13-mile loop, and we did it 3 times to make a 39-mile course. The other cats did 4 or 5 laps to make a longer course for those categories. Alright, jumping ahead just a bit here, you can see in the top right we're 4.7 miles into the race. If you look up ahead, you can see one guy off the front. I didn't notice that at the time. If I had, I definitely would have jumped up there and tried to go with him. But I didn't see him there. I was too focused on trying to just ride safe in this group. I'm trying to get used to how close I'm riding with all these other racers. I don't know if you also saw, I kind of got pinched in a bit there between the guy on my left and right. I almost bumped into the guy. I might have bumped the guy on my right a little bit too, which I did bump some people occasionally during this race, and you got to be aware of that and expecting it and comfortable with it and not freak out when it happens, because everyone's riding really close together. You can rub shoulders, it's no problem. So now we've got 2 or 3 guys sort of off the front. There's a gap. It doesn't look like they're off the front yet. So what they do is they take this left turn, they take it fast, and then they go. And the front of the peloton here was not ready for that. I think Will sees it happening because he's trying to sprint up there. He looks around, he can see if I'm gonna go try to catch him. But I'm still. We're only 5 miles into this race. I'm not sure if I'm not confident enough to go take my first pole yet, even though I basically am. You look, I'm not really drafting off Will, so I realize that, and the line, it's single file behind Will, so I go ahead and take a pole. I pull up here. I mean, we're going 32 miles an hour. This is definitely a downhill piece, and me downhill is easier for me. I go fast downhill without trying. So Will grabs my wheel, and he's getting a great draft there. Starting to slow down, but you can see I'm going hard. My heart rate's up at 188. Like I said a new threshold heart rate during this race of 177, so I am way over threshold here, but still nowhere near my max. And let's see, back to the front. Alright, there's those guys off the front. Now there's definitely a gap, but it's still a pretty small gap. I'm not really worried about it yet. There we can see them. Definitely 3 guys. And take this turn, and they're further than they were. And right now, for the next half mile or so here, it seems like they just keep getting further and further away. But you look at my heart rate, I'm going, right? It's higher than it was. We're going 27 miles per hour, and they're getting further away from us. So I'm looking around, trying to see if someone wants to come take the pole from me. But I'm not really sure how to make that happen. And obviously, continuing to go 23 miles per hour, 22, not the best way to make it happen. I need to pull off to the side or slow down. Swing out, let the peloton pull through so I can sit in for a while and bring my heart rate back down. But instead of swinging out and, clearly showing that I'm done pulling, I just kind of start slowing down, kind of try to move my elbow, like say, hey, someone come around. Now behind me here, you see Will's in the wind too, so he's pulling also, even though I can't see him. So I still feel like I'm all alone up there. But I'm not. There's two lines. I'm only pulling one of them. And here we see that breakaway is now a breakaway. They have a significant gap between them and the peloton, but we are only 6 miles into this 39-mile race. So for them to stay away the whole time is going to take some work. But I think that they maybe could have done it if we didn't catch this, because really, 21.7 was our average speed for the race, and I thought it was going to be a lot higher than that, but everyone was very concerned about sitting in and saving their energy. And like I said, by the end, we had the whole group still together, and that's because the pace was kind of slow. I think a Cat 5 race with 38 people, you should definitely be dropping some people off the back. There's no way that the entire field of 38 Cat 5 racers should have the fitness to stay with the group the whole race. The group should go fast enough to drop some people, and I think the race would have been a lot safer if we had done that. And because we didn't do that, we ended up with a huge group left at the end to do the sprint, and also everyone still had a lot of energy to sprint hard, and everyone was so close together, and everyone felt like they could do a sprint and win the race, and there was just too many people, and that's how it got dangerous. And I think that the wreck could have been less likely if we had spread the field out more. But here we go, people coming around me now, so now I get to sit in. You see my heart rate's still very high, 188. I need to go ahead and let that drop back down before I think about taking another pole. But the thing about this race was I really never thought I was going that hard. In fact, by the end of it, until I looked at the footage and my heart rate data and saw that I set a new threshold, I 177 I set as a new threshold for 60, but I also held 177 for 90 during this race. Alright, see everyone pointing out this right turn here. Yeah, everyone's really looking out for the group, working together, because when you're sitting here in the group, you can't really see ahead too well, right? So you got to call out any hazards or turns. Now here we pull through this turn, and I'm trying to sprint off the turn, and I feel we're going 24, but I'm like, all right, I need to catch this group, so I make an attack, and I try to pull through as fast as I can so that I don't just carry the whole peloton with me. I was trying to make a chase group. I didn't want to bring the whole peloton back to the breakaway. I wanted to make a chase group, and this guy went with me. But I need to work on my awareness because I did not know this guy went with me. And if I did, we might have been able to work together better to get there. And he's got Will right behind him, and there's a little gap behind Will. If the three of us could have formed an amazing chase group. And so I should have been going, I want to say I should have been going harder right here, but look at that, my heart rate's 200. Like, could I really go harder? I bet I could have. But still, look, now there's no gap behind Will. Everyone's kind of caught back up to us. So we're no longer a chase group. Now I am just pulling the peloton as hard as I can to try to bring back this breakaway. But at the same time, like I said, my awareness was not there. I did not know I was pulling the peloton. I still thought that I was either solo bridging or that I had formed a chase group. I did not realize I was just doing a super hard pull for everyone. So here this guy comes around me, and I am so grateful for that. And I'm like, yes, here we go. He's going to help me catch them. Because when I was pulling, I was going very, very hard, but not 100%, because I had this big fear that as soon as I went 100%, the guy behind me would come around and take off, and I wouldn't be able to hold on to his wheel because I would have been too spent. So come around that corner, we take off like we always do. You saw, Will had to close a gap. Okay, and then I pull around this guy, go back to pulling. I'm really trying to catch this break. I'm like, we've put in too much work by this point to just let them go. And it felt like we weren't getting any closer to him, so I pull back through. I'm like, all right, I got some more energy. Here I go, back to 200 beats per minute, 32 miles per hour. I'm going to catch this breakaway. And I got Will and this guy in the red right behind me. Now they're close. Now we're getting them, but we're still not there. But we're so close. There's no way we're not getting them by this point, but my heart rate is, 195 still. I am feeling exhausted. I just did a lot of pulling. I'm nodding my head, twitching my elbow, trying to signal that I want someone to come around and pull for me. But as long as I keep pulling, as long as I keep going 27 miles per hour, it's hard for people to actually want to go around me because they want to get that ride. They want to catch the break too, but if I'm doing the work to do it, there's no reason for them to take over. But there you go. That guy in the red there, he came around. He finished closing that gap. Now I get a chance to sit in, relax, bring my heart rate back down, get my energy back. But when they talk about racing, they talk about matches, and I burned a couple of matches there catching that break for sure. All right, so here, this is the finish of lap 2. That's me waving at the camera there. All right, so there was 3 laps, so I skipped over lap 2 completely. Here we are in lap 3, 30.5 miles into the race. So there's 8.5 miles to go, and you can see where we are on the map there. All right, speed, we're going 25. I think this is a bit of downhill. See, look, I'm sitting in, and my heart rate's 184, so this is what I'm talking about. I was working harder during this race than I thought. So here, there's someone off the front, and I think I go out to catch him, right? I'm like, here we go, 8 miles left. Right, there's a break. No one jumped with me. So now, me and this guy, which, by the way, that's the guy that followed me on my attack earlier. So me and him, we've got a gap. We need to get out here and work together and pull away from the peloton. There's 8 miles left in the race. That's quite a bit left to go, especially with just a 2-person break. I wish it would have been a 3 or 4-person break. But I'm pushing. Look, I'm going 30 miles per hour, 190 beats per minute, and the peloton just catches right back up to us. And now, again, awareness, right? Even after they caught us, I continue pulling this hard because I still think we're in a breakaway. So I need to look back more. I need to understand where the group is. See, he knows. He's done. He's sitting in. The group's caught up. He's not going to pull around me and pull because I'm just pulling the whole peloton now. I'm not pulling for our break like I thought I was. So eventually I realized it too, and slow down, and intentionally slow down, trying to get people to come around, trying to give up my place at the front because this is not where I want to be. Now, please note that I did sit in a lot during this race. The clips of the race that you're seeing are me pulling, but I wasn't pulling for the whole race, right? I made an attack in lap 2 that turned into a solo effort that I let last way too long. Overall, over the course of a hour and 40-something minute race, it really wasn't that much pulling I did. Oh man, that guy up front there in the Scott kit, that's, yeah, he goes down later. You'll get to see that. It was right in front of me. We're going to have a good angle on it. Okay, so here you can see on the map further along, the finish line is about halfway through that top. All right, this kid, it looks like he's throwing an attack. I try to go with him, and some more people, they're going with me, but then we kind of slow down right here at the front of the group instead of attacking hard. Oh, now we're going. And same guy in the red pops out to go with me. Yep. He sees the attack every time, and he jumps on my wheel. So that's good. That's the kind of person that I need. I need people like that to go with me, but then I need to figure out how to work with them. And I also need to know when the whole peloton's with us and stop putting in this much effort for the group. What I need to do is focus my effort more into those attacks and those breaks to try to get a good gap from the group so that the group has to work to catch me. Because right now, I'm putting in that work, I'm putting in all that effort, but because I didn't do it fast enough and I didn't do it with enough intensity from the beginning, the whole peloton just kind of goes with me, and now I'm just pulling the peloton, which is not at all what I was trying to do when I was burning that match. I was trying to break away from the group. I really wanted the group to start going faster, especially now with only 4 miles left in the race. We're going 20 miles per hour. I was really hoping it would start picking up and spreading out more, because that's what I wanted. I don't feel like I'm the best sprinter. I do better at a time trial, maybe a 4 mile time trial. I think I could do a lot better than this bunch sprint finish that we end up having to do. All right, so I slow down to 21 miles per hour. People start coming around me. This is good. I get to sit in again, relax a little bit. That's what I was going for. I mean, that's what everyone's going for, though, and not everyone gets to do that. Someone still has to pull, but everyone's fighting for trying to be the person that's sitting in and not pulling. All right, jump ahead a little bit, 35.9 miles. I do an attack, okay? I want the group to go faster, and I'm trying to not just do a hard pull for the whole group, so I throw an attack, force them to chase me. That was the idea anyway. Look back, and they're right on my wheel. No one let me get anywhere, not this close to the finish of the race. 36 miles in, we got 3 miles to go. They are hugging my wheel. So 3 miles to go, and my heart rate's well over my threshold. So this is not exactly where I was hoping to be at this point in the race, but I'm getting my first race done, right? So let's go over my goals again. Complete my first race. I did that. Actually, it was a lot closer. I was a lot closer to failing at that goal than I ever thought might happen when I was talking about my goals at the beginning of the video. Because when the guy crashes, he's actually right in front of me, and he actually crashes like towards me and right in front of me, and I missed running over him just barely, which I dodged him because I didn't want to run over him because that sounds awful, but actually, I mean, if I had hit him, it would have crashed me. But when I dodged him, I still ran over his wheel, and it twisted my handlebars, and you'll see that happen later. So after that happened, I was kind of done with the whole sprint finish thing. I was like, just finish, don't crash. I was so happy to not crash. And I'm telling you that now because there's not a lot of time to tell you that at the finish, because it's right before the finish line. So here you see me pulling, but I'm going easy. Look at my heart rate. It's dropping. It was just 186. During a pull, I dropped my heart rate from 186 to 174. That's how easy I'm going. I'm trying to get people to come around me because I don't want to be doing the pull right now. Not with 2.5 miles left in the race, but no one else does either. Look at my heart rate still going down. That's how easy I'm going, and I'm still in the front of this peloton because no one else is willing to take over, because no one wants to exert themselves right now, not this close to the finish of the race. Everyone needs that energy for the sprint, and they know it, and I know it, and I'm the one up here, doing too much work. And this pull, I think this ends up being like a 4-minute pull for me, just sitting here on the front of the group, not trying to go fast, not doing any attacks, not trying to get away from anyone. I'm just cruising, just in the front, just taking the wind. But it wasn't working that hard. You can see my heart rate's still under threshold. I'm not burning a match out here on the front. So I think it's maybe not that bad, but definitely not where you want to be at this point in the race. All right, goal number 2, stay with the fast group. That turned into a non-issue. There was no fast group. Although I think when I put in a lot of work bridging to that breakaway, and I am proud of that, and that I was able to do that. I am disappointed that I brought the whole peloton with me instead of actually bridging myself or forming a chase group like I had intended to do. But still, putting in that work to catch that break, It is an experience I'm glad I got during this race. And then 3, win the race. That doesn't happen at all. You'll see pretty soon here. I mean, we've got less than 2 miles to go, and I'm in first place, so that's really good, right? No. All right, first place with 2 miles to go is not where you want to be, because I'm not in first place. I'm pulling the peloton. So there's a difference, and that's bike racing for you. And bike racing is something I need to sort of adjust to, because I've done racing before in boats. I was on a crew team, and we raced boats, and in crew, you just go as hard as you can the whole way, all the time. Bike racing, totally different beast. If you want to win the race, you need strategy and tactics during the race to save your energy, to manage your energy. Rowing race is like 6 minutes. Biking race, this 1 hour and 40 something minutes. So totally different beast, and you can't just be going hard. You can't just be doing the pull. All right, so here someone finally passes me. A little embarrassing because it's because we were going uphill, and I'm not a climber. And so even though I was trying to go slow on the flat, slow enough for someone to want to come around me, it never happened. As soon as we hit the hill, I just naturally couldn't go fast enough that people finally felt like they needed to come around me. But that's fine. Here we go. Now I'm sitting in. But look, I'm going hard to get up this hill. Or maybe he was trying to do an attack, because my heart rate's up to 192 now. I put in energy to climb this hill and stay with these guys up in the front of the pack here, because we've got 1.5 miles to go. I don't want to get any further behind. I want to stay in the top sort of 6 from this point to the finish. That's what I'm thinking. Plays out totally differently, as you'll see. So I actually did get a lot of experience during this race, especially at the finish. Earlier a little bit during the attacks, and actually having this video it increased how much experience I gained from this race also, because seeing behind me when I wasn't looking behind me during the race, seeing how my attacks played out and how I did have gaps at some points and didn't know it, and how at some points I thought I had a gap and didn't. I was just pulling the peloton super hard, just burning matches for nothing. Knowing those things, being able to look at this video and see those things is really helpful, and that's definitely going to improve my cycling. So I'm super happy I have these videos, other than just to make this YouTube video. And also, for this guy that crashes, hopefully he finds this video, because it's a pretty epic crash. Yeah, and it's pretty crazy footage, because he did it right in front of me. So here, okay, now, guy on the front takes off. I've heard it's super hard to run someone off your wheel, and here I got to see it firsthand, because I did not feel like I was putting in too much effort to hang on to this guy, but this guy looks like he's really, really trying to get away. Maybe he wasn't, and that's just what it looks like to me, but it was really easy to hang on to him. So now I'm going 24 miles an hour, 196 beats per minute. Here, we're coming into this downhill that leads into the final sprint, and everyone kind of swarms around me. Like I said, I was sitting third wheel when I was like, all right, I want to stay in kind of the front pack, sort of top 6. Now I'm, like 15th all of a sudden, just out of nowhere. Here comes everyone. Look at my heart rate, 201, highest it's been all race, and I'm just falling back. Oh, here we go. Dang. And so at this point, I think everyone's passed me. My race is over, but look at Will. He's 6 positions behind me, and he knows the race is not over. He comes flying up. This guy doesn't hold his line. Will dodges him. Here he goes. I'm sprinting. 204 beats per minute for me. Will flies right by me. He's got like 10 more people in front of him. He doesn't care. He just sprints past all of them. All right, there's first, second, third place, and there's Will, 4th place. Right? Now when that guy crashed, Will was 10 positions behind me. And he came all the way up from the back of the group to 4th place through that sprint finish, and he did it because everyone else went too early. So there you have it. That was my first bicycle race. My place in the end was 13 out of 38, not too bad. I'm very happy with how everything went, especially when I was able to avoid that crash at the end. And I hope you come back for more of my videos. Next video is going to be my criterium that happened the day after this, still in Gainesville, Florida. Goodbye. Bye.